Welcome back to the Watchman, a continuous study on the Song of Songs or Song of Solomon, whichever one you prefer. The study is entitled Divine Romance, the Gospel in the Song of Songs, exploring the divine love story between Christ and his church through the lover and the beloved. This passage that we are going to cover, entitled The Wedding and Night Search, is Song of Songs, chapter 3, verse 6 to chapter 5, verse 1. And the major overarching theme is covenant commitment and union. Some key words that you can see throughout this particular passage. The first, wedding or bridal canopy. Used and implied in chapter 3, verse 11, the crown with which his mother crowned him on the day of his wedding. This notes, though not directly stated, the reference to a wedding crown implies a public ceremony. Chuppah is later rabbinic, but the context here points to a structured, joyful covenant celebration, the wedding. It echoes the marriage supper of the Lamb, pointing to the final union of Christ and the church. The next word, heart or inner self, found in chapter 4, verse 9, says, "You have captivated my heart." Poetic variation. Capturing the heart implies a complete emotional and spiritual intimacy. Used in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5, love the Lord your God with all your heart, tying romantic and divine devotion. Next word, not specifically verses, but it's used throughout as titles of who is speaking, and it is beloved. It's a female, a companion, the term of affection used consistently for the bride, which implies friendship and intimacy, not just physical beauty, reinforces a relationship of mutual delight and deep connection. And then, of course, we have the garden, found in chapter 4, verse 12. A locked garden is my sister, my bride. It's a symbol of fertility, mystery, and exclusive nature. It's used in Eden, found in Genesis chapter 2 and 3. The locked garden image expresses reserved love now opened to the rightful spouse. A strong imagery of privacy and covenant exclusiveness to one person. Garden imagery also echoes Eden in the fact that restoration in Christ will come at a later time. Romans chapter 5, verse 12 to 21, Christ is our second Adam. In Hebrew, though, the garden is often a metaphor for the bride's body in a most respectful manner. So here you had some key words throughout this section that might trigger some extra thoughts as you move forward. Some things that I want to express in this particular section, because it is the wedding and night search, as I've already talked about in a previous section, Song of Songs, chapter 1, verse 2, about the kisses and how it was symbolic of the passion or the hopefulness of what's to come. Not that they were actually kissing. This point, though, by chapter 4, the tone definitely shifts. The groom responds to the desire of his bride with passionate delight. The metaphor becomes tangible here. Kisses are no longer longed for, but are now given. Love is consummated with the physical union in chapter 5, verse 1. This poetic language is rich with sensual imagery describing the sacred act of physical intimacy, pure love in marriage. The intimacy sought in chapter 1 is now joyfully and honorably realized in this covenant act. God designed physical love in marriage not just for procreation, but as a holy and pleasurable expression of love, delight, and mutual giving. What began as longing in chapter 1 is fulfilled in intimacy here in chapter 4 and 5, not outside the covenant, but within it. That is why we need to be careful not to awaken love until it so desires. The wedding scene here in this passage is filled with rich imagery, a procession, adornment, and consummation. The beloved praises the bride's body and spirit, and she is willingly opens herself to him. God's presence is implied in the divine encouragement to eat and drink of this sacred love. This is a moment of joy and fulfillment, echoing the Eden harmony being restored. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 25 reads, "Husband, love your wives, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself up for her." This wedding imagery reflects the consummation of covenant love, just as Christ's love was consummated in his sacrifice for the church. The garden imagery is deeply Edenic, symbolizing a restored intimacy and exclusive covenant relationship. What was once broken in Genesis is redeemed in the union of Christ and his bride, the church. Again, I hope you can take from this new key words, key phrases, things that you maybe haven't thought about before if you've ever read this book. Again, I challenge you to, as you read this passage and Song of Songs, and that you would take key words, phrases, do a study on your own, and may you be blessed richly through that. But until next time, take care, God bless, and be strong.